Hi, everyone. Very nice to see you all here. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Professor QG. I'm from National University of Singapore. My role as an institution for functional intelligent materials is to link the fundamental research with the requirements from industry. If you want, I'm a skirter of technologies. My background is in startups in the high-tech area, such as advanced materials, quantum, and more recently, in sustainability. We are packaging the recent fundamental discoveries and make them comprehensive and more suitable for early investors to develop it further. In the Institution for Functional Intelligent Materials, where I'm working, we explore a wide range of technologies, from quantum to AI, considering a variety of applications from telecommunications to energy. Clearly, we now require a very out-of-the-box solutions for future sustainability technologies. Sustainability is a very complex issue now. It will require breakthrough in catalysis, batteries, carbon advanced materials, AI grid regulations, photovoltaic technologies, fuel cells, and so on and so forth. And that's what I hope to bring to VeChain by joining their steering committee. Access to the most advanced scientific developments happening across the globe in those areas. Now let's move to the most fun part, the roundtable discussion, this panel. I will be chairing it, prepared a few questions to our guests. But please be active. At the end, you will have your opportunity to address to our two Nobel winners yourself. So our two guests today, Professor Sir Andrew Geim. He's a professor of physics from the University of Manchester, United Kingdom. Professor Sir Konstantin Novoselov, you met in the morning. He is the professor of physics and material science from National University of Singapore. They both got the Nobel Prize in 2010 in physics for their hard working in graphene. And actually, they have both knighted twice, 2 times, by the English Queen and by the Dutch Queen, which is very, very special. And I have my honor to know them and to work with them for a number of years. And we have our best honor to have them both here today for the panel. Thank you. Please. Please. Andrew, please. Okay, so Andrew Kostia, we are really glad you could join us today, flying like just for a day here from London and Singapore. What else can you tell us about sustainability?
Well, I actually took only my hand luggage, so, and I lost some weight as well, so I reduced my carbon footprint. Don't worry.
Oh, no, seriously, tell us about your research.
Okay. Do you understand?
No, everything up to you.
Okay, so I started talking about our research just in the morning. So soon after working on graphene, we realized that there are many of those two-dimensional materials, and they all have very different properties. And of course, for any physicist, it's really exciting to study those two-dimensional materials because electrons, matter behaves in a different manner when you reduce it to 2 dimensions. So we live in a 3-dimensional world, but if you reduce your coordinates, if you reduce your motion to two dimensions, then there are many new effects, topological quantum, start to appear. And but then the next step was when you realize that you can use those two-dimensional materials to create new three-dimensional structures. Just imagine if you think that one sheet of two-dimensional crystal is like a short story which is written on one page. You can put them all together into a book, and you can really write a very long and interesting novel. And that's what we can do by creating new artificial materials, so-called heterostructures. And as I said, in the morning, the next step would be to create those materials which have a number of phase transitions and which can exist at least temporarily in metastable state, so that they can really have some memory functions, and you can control their functionality through external stimuli. And that's what gives a range of new applications, from as Chi mentioned already, from telecommunication to energy, intelligent membranes, for example, or new materials for fuel cells, for example, photovoltaics. So you name it. So that's the pathway over the last few years.
Very impressive, certainly. How do you think the research in advanced materials addresses the sustainability issue?
Well, I think materials are at the basis of everything, right? You think about batteries, it's all materials. So you think about photovoltaics, it's all materials. So you would have to figure out how do we proceed with the petrochemicals, whether we still going to use it, whether we focus on hydrogen and splits our petrochemicals into hydrogen and carbon. So that's all about materials.
Okay.
So I think it is quite essential that we do research in those. So the photovoltaics have been studied for probably the last 40, 50 years, and now it is quite a mature technology. Photovoltaics based on silicon, the so-called PERC photovoltaics, but now new types appear. So we need to break this limit of what's 27% efficiency. We need to make it much more efficient, and you can do it with so-called tandem photovoltaics, with perovskite. So that's all material research. I don't know, Andrei.
What's your opinions?
Kostya gave such detailed explanations that even I got lost with all scientific terms here. So I understand that most in the audience are not scientists. So let me give you some simple words perspective on our research. If you look around yourself, what you'll find out that objects or whatever materials you deal with, they have three dimensions. They can be described by their length, width, and thickness. Until just less than 20 years ago, materials where one of those dimensions, thickness, disappears. Those materials were not known at all. So Kostya and myself and our close colleagues somewhere about 20 years ago found materials which essentially have the thickness which is the smallest possible thickness in the universe. Materials which are one atom or one molecule thick. So these materials were not known, and 99.999% of the people even have proven that those materials couldn't possibly exist. So that's our small contribution. And if you look from the perspective not of today, but from perspective, say, from 100 years of now, we all know that the progress of civilization was kind of followed Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age. Now, arguably, we are living at the age of plastic and silicon. What comes next? Now we have not one, we have thousands of materials which are atomically thin. And many people would argue that the next step of our civilization is the age of two-dimensional materials, what we call those materials, probably in combination with other materials. That's a generalistic view on our research.
Wow, that's very impressive. I hope you definitely. Wow, great, great. Okay, let's move to the next question, which for Kostya, there are many different models on how to fulfill sustainability. You mentioned some of that in your talk in the morning, go fully electric or go fully hydrogen, or something else. What is your favorite model, Kostya?
No, I actually prefer the third one, so that each of us plant 1 tree a day and cut 1 tree a day and store it underwater. So that's that would be much more sustainable probably. So at least it is proven it's going to work. But in reality, I think there are many, well, at least several competing sustainability scenarios, and I think the one which invests into the infrastructure and then which who would turn into as many users as possible in the fastest way is going to win. So I've been quite excited over the recent months in the one scenario where we split hydrocarbons into hydrogen and carbon and create a lot of carbon material and then just use it for a variety of applications, from carbon fibers to maybe construction, and so that's exciting, at least scientifically. And now we just need to work with our partners and see who is the fastest to invest.
Very good. Let's move to the next question for Andrew. Andrew, I know that you wrote many opinion pieces for the Financial Times.
A few.
Yeah, you was an early investor in Bitcoin and generally interested in all the macroeconomics. Where do you see such blockchain solutions as VeChain that is a measure of sustainability within this economics picture of our future society? What do you think?
When I was invited to this conference and was given to read the white paper, as many of people in this audience, I wondered, okay, what's the difference, say, of VeChain from other kind of blockchain, from Bitcoin and other. I can criticize a lot about Bitcoin and so on, what I experienced over years, but from perspective, why it's different and what is different, after reading, I thought a little bit, and from, again, trying to look at a bigger picture, I figured out that it actually does have sense. Bear with me just for 1.5 minutes. I try explain you, being serious rather than joking, what the difference is. You know what money is. Probably most of you know this is paper or in the bank account. The concept of money was going back in history to Adam Smith, Karl Marx, and so on. Essentially, money is the measure how we change our time between different people. For example, someone produces shoes, another person produces apple, third person needs something else, and we don't directly change shoes for money. We want to have something else. So the money, say $100, is the measure of time. If I give to Che $100, it means that I'm buying probably a minute of his time or something like that.
Thank you very much.
When he gives me $100, probably it's 10 minutes of my time or something like that. That's how it comes. So people learn this not only a couple hundreds of years ago, this concept of money, although we use money for many centuries and millennia out of this. So, but money, they do not distinguish between different types of time spent on production of a particular product. Let's take, for example, electricity or a car. There is kind of human time put in, there is material, there is electricity, there are all sorts of hundreds of different components which are put in the car. Some of those say carbon neutral, some of those very dirty, something completely out of exhausting limited resources. And this has never measured. We have only one number, which is money in dollars or in other currency. We do not distinguish between different elements. And at our age, when we get these sustainability problems, for example, if we buy Tesla, many of us thinking that we are saving the world by driving Tesla, but there is a lot of carbon emissions to produce Tesla. How to compare this car with another car? We don't know that. How much dirt is in electric, in say, photovoltaics, in those solar panels? We think that we are saving the world when we are putting them on our roofs. In fact, we don't, because there is a lot of carbon emissions put in those. It's very difficult to count this one. This idea of the blockchain, which separates different elements in addition to the total cost, which separates different elements, including carbon emission, sustainability, and so on, this seems to be an important idea without which we can't live. So I think VeChain is just at the spot of dividing this one number into different dirty, clean, sustainable, and not sustainable money. This is my macroeconomics view on what VeChain can do.
So, Andrei, and do you think we need a life cycle analysis for pretty much every single process to assign the not only monetary value but also sustainability value for every product?
I'm not sure that we need, but that's what people are trying to do, those carbon emissions. Okay, when people now, there are thousands of researchers who try to measure what is green carbon, what is gray carbon, what is dirty carbon, how good is wind power, and how good is solar cells. We just don't know it. Some people argue that it takes about 10 years for solar cells to compensate those carbon emissions we put in their production. Some people, like me, think it's 15 years, and some people who work for photovoltaics industry say it's 3 years.
Andrei, it's because you live in Manchester, so there is no sunshine.
Yeah, there is this element as well, yeah.
But then there is a question, of course, that when you buy something for money or you're getting paid in real money, so it has some value to you. So how can we assign value to sustainability? Why people would prefer to buy a product which has larger sustainability fraction of this blockchain? So we just need to figure out how they can spend it further and how to move it further in the market. So
there is obvious, okay, value for when you measure sustainability or carbon emissions. It's the question of tax. Government starts taxing carbon emissions. This is immediate outcome from what if you divide money to green and red and gray money. And the second important issue that's, okay, not of my and your age, Kostya, but younger people who are vegan, for example, they take into account when they buy something, they take into account how much it damages the planet. I know quite a few of these kind of people who care about this. So when you compare two cars, one costs the same amount of money as another one, and you would like to know how much carbon emissions get into this production, how sustainable this car. And if the measure it would be very much appreciated, but I can't predict the future.
I can't really believe in this, but okay. But tax is a good idea. So we need to link VeChain somehow to the tax office. I don't know how often are you guys arguing with the tax authorities, but it has to be linked anyway.
Thank you very much. Well, just on that side, I would draw a note that for the VeChain staff here, actually, Andrew probably the first who have ever read the white paper 3.0 page by page. So if we are having our internal meetings in VeChain, make sure you understand as much as Andrew do. Otherwise, we will be really very sick because he understands everything and read the white paper page by page. Okay, let's move on to my next question. But, okay, just I want to stop here right now. As academic, sometimes my questions can be really boring. So if any questions from you guys here, raise your hand or anytime, then I will pass over the mic to you guys to certainly ask for these two gentlemen here. Okay, my next one. Which are the areas you think blockchain solutions will take over in the future? What do you guys think?
I think so. Energy, as we spoke, is one area which is of course very important. But in general, so anything which with the distributed market and where you require a proof of work would be good. So I think I'm sure Andrew got his own opinion, but I'm sure that we can go for water supply or for the aids provided to the developed countries, to the developing countries. So where you need the proof of work, proof of spend, I think that's so those areas should be turned into should be using the blockchain solution. Andrei, you have any?
I have reached the age when it's polite to say that I don't know, and people don't think that I'm stupid. I don't know.
But at least I think for the as an anti-corruption method, when you provide aids for the developing countries, when you need a proof of the work done, that would be a very good solution.
Okay. Any questions?
Come on, guys. It gets boring when you don't ask questions because I'm tired of listening to this guy. Okay, just think of. Oh, yeah, there is a question.
Okay, there is one over there. Please pass over the microphone. So the gentleman. Hello?
Yes, shout, please.
Oh, just shout.
You could tell more about how graphene and blockchain will be integrated in the future.
Okay, so first of all, I think the biggest role for advanced materials is to provide sustainable solutions, and generally, that's as we said, we need those solutions in batteries, in fuel cells. So Andrei worked himself in proton membranes, which is the essential part of the fuel cells. I spoke this morning about the biological fuel cells, which is another example of the advanced materials, partly based on graphene as well. Then membranes, I think that's a big issue now, and how to extract CO2 from air, and that's where the advanced materials are going to be utilized. But then on the topic of Web3, so where you really need, where you want to connect the blockchain solutions with the physical solutions, you would need some sort of the physical authentication of the user. So, and it has to be done. With some unique tags, and that can be done on the quantum level. So, for example, there are solutions which work on the collection of the quantum dots. Every single quantum dot is unique, so you just throw an ensemble of those. You measure the spectra, and you uniquely authenticate it. So you basically place a chip like this, and it looks very simple. You just put two-dimensional materials. It can be graphene, it can be some other, like molybdenum disulfide, tungsten diselenide, with quantum dots embedded on a silicon photonic chips, which communicates directly into your fiber optics, and you can test and verify the identity of the person, of the user. So we've been talking this morning just about the digital, but then we just thought that maybe it should be the other way around. It's physical, so digital and physical. So that would be so when your material, when every single object has some unique identification on the blockchain net.
Thank you. Okay, I have a question here for you guys. Do you think that for the next issue of VeChain white paper, let's say 4.0, I will be interviewing AI on sustainability rather than you two or the other two physicists?
Nah. Gee, I think it's going to be the other way around. It's going to be AI interviewing two physicists. So just
Thank you. I think I have to work hard in VeChain steering committee, so I have another job to do. Okay, so what do you think?
Yeah. Okay. Carry on.
So I mean, AI. So it's of course it's a big name now, and I should say we started to use AI a couple of years ago in our work, and there are some good results. I won't say that they are truly amazing, but there are good results, and there are some results which we probably won't be able to achieve without AI. Is it a solution for everything? Well, probably not. I should be honest. I started to change my opinion and to get a little bit more positive after the appearance of those pre-trained neural networks, which I really don't understand how it works. Why pre-training on some strange data, weird data, helps this neural network to solve problems which it has never seen before. So there is clearly quite a lot of understanding for us to do in terms of figuring out why it works and how to make it operate even better. Couple of things though, what we still need to work on. So currently, those AI machines, TPUs and GPUs, it's really expensive in terms of energy. So unfortunately, AI solutions are not green by themselves. They're not sustainable. So a lot of efforts now going around in physics and material science community in trying to create neuromorphic computers which are true neuromorphic, not simulated neuromorphic as we do it now, but true neuromorphic. Whether it's going to work, I don't know. So there are already chips like this, but how widespread are they going to be? It's still a good question. Whether maybe in 5 years' time we will have those neuromorphic chips in our phones. Okay, 5 years probably not, but 10, I would say quite possible. But already now they sell. There are machines which help you to manage complex problems. So if we need to have an example from the energy sector, so then I would say the management of the energy grids, of the electric grids, it's a very complex solution. If you try to solve it, it will be, I don't know, 1,000 differential equations which you need to solve simultaneously. So problems like this are much easier to solve with AI. So I think there are ways how we can utilize AI for sustainability and for energy on many different levels.
What do you think, Andrew?
I think AI is a very big hype, much bigger than Bitcoin, actually, because there is no artificial intelligence at the moment. It's all kind of clever computing and clever way of programming things. And it's not going to change in near future. Even with neuromorphic computing, it would remain the same. It's very important tool in our toolbox, and those who try this chat GPT, they find out that it sometimes gives very funny answers. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right, but it's clever computing, and those who believe that, you know, like in Hollywood movies, very soon we will be substituted, at least our host will be substituted with an AI. Fortunately, your job is quite safe because it's, as Kostya said, it all concerns energy. You know, we, with our architecture, which is biological architecture of brains to sustain ourselves, how many bananas per day do you need to sustain yourself? 2-3 bananas. That's what a typical human needs, this kind of energy. To support even the simplest AI, it takes megawatts of hours. So to make a sentient artificial intelligence on the current technology is just, we might create one for the whole Earth, for the whole planet, and that would take enormous amount of energy. So we are safe in these terms. So robots walking on the streets, it's not in any foreseeable future.
So you see, it's a very typical answer of a big professor. So it's when we have two bills, whether to buy a new computer or maybe just simply hire 10 PhD students. It's much easier to throw this job into the PhD students. Much more efficient, so working on bananas.
Yes, we do
There's
have
a question.
PhD students working on bananas. Okay, so we have a questions here. Please, can
How do we incentivize consumers to use VeChain? For example, when I go to Starbucks and I use my app, I can get credits. When I go to Starbucks, they give me credits, and then I get free coffees in the next day or two. Or when I go to the supermarket, I notice that the organic produce is much higher than the regular produce. So how can we encourage consumers to eat food that's free of pesticides or hormones or whatever they put in our food supply? How can we use, like when people go into the newspaper and they look for coupons to buy at the best price. So we're very incentivized by competitive prices. How can VeChain help consumers save money with green products or products that are sustainable? Or that's what I'm like. How can we incentivize students to go to college and get paid to learn what we're discussing here today instead of paying and getting into debt? How can we incentivize students to learn this incredible opportunity that's right in front of us?
So you see, you are exactly from the same generation as me and Andre. As Andre mentioned, young people don't need this incentive. They're driven by the sustainability attitudes. But it is a big question. So as we already discussed, yes, if there are two types of money, the green money and the black money, and the black money are cheaper. Why? How do we make sure that people use the green money? So blockchain at least can assign the correct value and make you earn the correct amount of the green money. But then how to convince people that they need to use those green. So Andre gave a solution that it needs to come really from the tax authority, and I really have I don't have the right answer for this. So.
Yeah, it's not the problem of VeChain can't do this. It's a policy-making mechanism. Okay, in some sense, when you know what proportion of red or black or green money in the product, you go to the shop, and if you buy, for example, a fridge, it states which class is it. Influences this you or not, it's another matter. So if it influences you, it's good. So the whole idea is to do VeChain, this blockchain solution is showing how much money in different categories. It would be probably, okay, sustainability, carbon emissions, or something like that. That's an idea. And then that's the idea of politicians, how to make these different colors more expensive and shift the balance, like carbon tax, sustainability tax, and so on. So I'm afraid we are very small pawns in the game. It's policymakers who have to make this change.
But I should say that the situation is not that bad, and people, of course, they're fundamentally greedy, but in principle, they can turn up to earn those green money. There were experiments, if I remember correctly, in Canada somewhere where there were problems with the local ecology, and then local people were paid part in black money, part in green money, and those green money could be invested into the local community, and if they invested there into the improvement of the ecological situation, then they're matched by the government. And actually, people did do this, even though they could have spent those green money elsewhere as normal money. They invested and boosted up their their investment through this. So experiments like this have been done before, and it's partly worked at least. So there is some glimpse of hope.
Oh, that's a good question for the two professors. I'm
There's
sure
another
that. Okay, we do have another one. Okay, please pass the microphone to the gentleman over there.
Hi. I'm quite impressed by the presentation this morning, and I was particularly fascinated by the idea of using the new materials to generate electricity when people are walking. So I would very much like to have my mobile put in my pocket and charge my mobile while I'm walking. So my first question is how soon this kind of technology will come to our daily life, so to give us fascinated new stuff to try and save energy. And also my second question is, do you think blockchain technology, especially VeChain, is going to play a key role for people to adopt this kind of new technology in their normal life?
Well, so how fast is it to come? I think there are no fundamental reasons why it cannot be done. We definitely generate through our life cycle. We definitely generate enough energy to charge your mobile phone. But then whether we can. So the biggest problem now is the wearable technology. There are examples and there are developments. The problem is washability. So how often can you wash it? Because if you put some electronic devices, printable electronics into your clothes, so it works fine. But then if you wash it 10 times, that's it. So that's the biggest obstacle now. So it actually being utilized for some military applications in various forms. So that's phase changing materials for cooling down or for heating up, for example. But on the market, hard for me to say. So I'm sure that some simple technologies like solar cells, flexible solar cells built into your jacket, it's quite realistic. Fully printable in your clothes, it's still some time. And there was second part of the question you asked. Okay, so how the blockchain is relevant here, right? So of course those products are going to be more expensive, right? So but then if you have a chance to do exercise and charge your phone that way, or if you are lazy and you have to plug your phone into the wall, you should be rewarded somehow if you charge it through your exercise. So then if you can communicate cheaply and without creating gas and without creating too much waste energy by registering your efforts on the blockchain, you will be rewarded for charging your phone simply by, I don't know, just cycling to work and charging your phone from your bicycle, for example.
Thank you very much. I do actually have a question for you I'd like to ask. Now we have the two physicists in Las Vegas. Where do you stay? Is Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics or many words interpretation? And to make it even more complex, UFC or David Copperfield? Please.
Okay. I've seen David Copperfield on TV wasn't that bad. It was bad TV in Soviet Russia, I guess, but but it wasn't that impressive at all. Black and white, who cares? Just lots of noise. Yeah, but UFC fights, those were quite impressive. So I've been invited a couple of times, not to fight, just to watch. But it was.
It will be more interesting if you go on into the stage.
Right. Thank you.
Pass.
Okay. Okay, then we have a question for you. You can pass. Andrew, you are a very experimental physics. You have been levitated a frog. Everybody knows that. Are you worried that all technologies move into internet? And by the way, why frog?
How many people in the audience have idea what he is talking about? One. Two.
Yes, please tell me. You know that
Okay.
what he has been
Andrei,
doing.
you should tell this story. So, should I make an introduction for you?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So Andrei is the only. So there are a number of physicists who won the Nobel Prize. Not that many, but a few. There is only one physicist who won both Nobel Prize and Ig Nobel Prize, and this is Andrei Geim, and he won his Ig Nobel Prize. So Ig Nobel Prize, the definition of the experiments is that those experiments which make us first laugh, but then still make us think. And Andrei won his Ig Nobel Prize for levitating a frog. So apparently, for those who didn't know, frogs can fly or at least levitate. You need certain conditions, but they can. And the reason is that frogs are quantum objects. So Andrei, it's your...
Yeah, it was a quite scientific experiment, levitating water. Apparently no one before us has done this experiment, and it was physicists around the world were quite impressed, because even those who worked with similar kind of facilities couldn't do that. And I recommend you to look at the web. There are beautiful images of levitating water and so on. But then people start giving various ideas what else can be levitated. So everything was levitated in magnetic fields. I wanted to show to school children, to other people, what the power of physics and magnetic fields in this particular case would be. You know the expression, if pigs can fly. So unfortunately, the pig couldn't fit inside our experimental facilities. Neither Kostya did. My face also didn't fit inside, so we ended up with a very small frog. And frog levitated, and when journalists saw the frogs, they were not impressed by water levitating. For me, it's much more beautiful, but if frogs can fly, as we would say now, so that was the frog story.
Very interesting.
But actually now, Andrei, it has the continuation now, because everybody start to talk about flying to Mars again. I won't even bother to ask Andrei opinion on the flights to Mars. I guess it would be quite similar to AI opinion as well. But people are fascinated. But the big question is, do biological objects in the weightless condition behave the same as in the normal condition on Earth? And it's not that a trivial question, because whatever small is the gravity, so the pressure in our body is still reasonable. So that there might be some reasons why it would behave differently. At least biologists now try to simulate weightless conditions on Earth. They do some crazy things, flying on the parabolic flight, which is a completely really crazy idea, because you get through 2.5G on the way up, 2.5G minus 2.5G on the way down. So it's a bit of a not very clean experiment. But with the magnetic field, we have enough space, not for a peak, but maybe for a peak heart at least. So we can stick it in and study the behavior of those biological objects in the weightless conditions. In addition, something which I really always wanted to do, I mean, Andrei worked in the high magnetic field lab, and of course you could stick your arm into a very powerful magnet, I would say million times stronger than the magnetic field of Earth. You usually don't feel anything, but maybe heart would be different. So when you still just put a heart into magnetic fields, it's not only weightless condition, but it would be something else as well, some other interesting physics. So it's fits nicely with the definition of the Ig Nobel Prize. That's the experiments which make you laugh, but then makes you think at the end.
Okay, let's follow up with Andrew and Kostya's next interesting experimental rather than the fraud projects. Okay, the next one is even more interesting. Okay, so I would like to ask you guys, why do you think VeChain has a competitive point in building sustainability network?
I did answer this question, okay, already. Okay, should I repeat the answer?
Kostya, I wanted to hear Kostya's view on that.
Right. No, but that's the first blockchain system which actually puts value to something tangible. And I mean, by tangible, I mean sustainability. So, which is non-tangible in the sense that it's very difficult to measure, and that's why we need blockchain with very complex and complicated system of contracts, because different type of sustainability, different type of green money, different type of green hydrogen or gray hydrogen would have very different value in terms of sustainability. So it's impossible to trace those values by any other means except blockchain. So VeChain is the first company which actually realizes that that blockchain is useful not only to create NFT and not only to create another payment system, but it's a perfect system of smart contracts to manage such a complicated object as sustainability, whichever it means. So I think that's
okay.
So for me the value here is the system of smart contracts, if can be universal, it would really push the whole idea of sustainability much further.
Thank you very much. Do you think that we will ever get to the information or informational non-sustainability to make new discovery, to push the technology forward? We will have to spend more energy than we can gain from the discovery. What do you think? What's your thought?
It's on one hand, it's very simple answer. You get examples. Bitcoin in some countries, it's unsustainable to mine it because electricity costs more than the value of the Bitcoin. And there are many technologies which are already unsustainable. The same lithium-ion batteries, which we are widely discussing in Tesla cars, saving the world, and so on. There is not enough cobalt in the world to be sustainable for more than 10, 20 years about this one. So I'm a little bit from looking again from very general perspective what we're talking about sustainability. It's a lot of greenwashing goes around. Many of those solutions are not sustainable at all, although they are solved, like, okay, solution for all our problems, climate change, energy resources, and so on. If I may, I personally see only one solution to all those, not one, but many crises. We need to find a source of energy which is clean and which is essentially unexhaustible. If we have this kind of energy, we can recycle everything. Many times we can take CO2 out of the atmosphere, we can air condition the whole planet. And we know that as physicists, this kind of energy does exist. Our sun runs on this energy, and it has been proven possible on the Earth many times. The energy called nuclear fusion, not nuclear fission, but nuclear fusion, which takes deuterium and tritium. There are different other possibilities, but this is front runner in all those possibilities. So from terms of view of science, this solution is well known. In terms of technology, we have to work very hard. Unfortunately, governments and so on over the last 50 years ignored this kind of science, and because it didn't promise immediate rewards. It's not low-hanging fruit. It takes a lot of investment, sometimes tens of years to put it through. Now, private sector came very strongly into this energy, looking for solutions how to make nuclear fusion not only possible, which is possible, it's demonstrated essentially every week, but make it kind of commercially viable. May take another few decades, maybe closer, who knows? But from my perspective, all those green solutions which newspapers and TV and the media offers you, they are not really sustainable. So I'm looking forward when we get nuclear fusion, then we can talk about sustainable future for true rather than greenwashing it.
So, Andrea, and I wanted to ask your opinion. Where do you stand on nuclear fission? So,
it's a temporary solution. It's very important, like hydroelectric, like all those solar cells, wind turbine. It's a temporary solution which allows time to find the solution for nuclear fusion and nuclear fission power stations, which are working very important part of buying time to get handle on nuclear fusion.
Yeah, so China now builds one nuclear power plant every 2 weeks. There was a moment a few years ago when the rate of introducing nuclear power plants was just unbelievable. So that's, I guess, for many countries, is the only way forward until we wait for more greener solutions.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for our two guests here today. And that's all looking forward to the next panel or the next conversation with Professor Konstantin and Professor Andrew Geim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And with two professors' support and involvement in VeChain, let's be sure that VeChain can deliver what was involved and included in the white paper 3.0. Thank you very much. Thanks again. Thank you.